Hello, good day to everyone, I'm Frio. Today I'm here to tell you that there is news about the official Ben 10 comic. This will be about including all the Bens from the Multiverse, but I'll tell you more about that later. Let me tell you that Revive Ben 10 is a proposal created by Duncan Rouleau, one of the creators of Ben 10 who today is the main representative of the franchise. He persistently pitches Ben 10 projects to Cartoon Network, HBO, and Dynamite Comics. The possibility of Ben 10's return is just around the corner. The key factor needed is impact, because thanks to this, the higher-ups give the green light for a project to come to light. Weeks ago, they trended on the X platform. Today's goal is to contribute more. Let this video be clear proof that Ben Diaz should come back. Let your support and interest be reflected here. Share it and use this hashtag in the comments. That's also a good way to do it. We're close to making this happen. Bring Ben Diaz back to life. I had mentioned to you that this became a trend on the X platform thanks to an interview that Cartoon Base was able to do with Duncan Rouleau. Here I'm going to show you what I thought was the most important part of the interview. Duncan Rouleau has revealed important news to us about the new comic that's being worked on with Dynamite. And although he couldn't give us many details, what he did share is quite interesting. The upcoming Ben 10 comic will heavily borrow from every iteration of Ben across the multiverse, which in a nutshell means using the best of each version to improve the project they currently have. Whether it's the Omnitrixes, the updates we've recently seen on the channel, the aliens, and even the multiversal travels they might have. The episodes where the multiverse is mixed in are legendary in Ben 10. It's something that's been repeated in every saga. In the original, when Ben is kidnapped to meet his version who doesn't name the aliens. In Alien Supremacy, when he meets Supreme Ben. In Omniverse, when he encounters many Bens from the multiverse. And even in the reboot, where they have a multiversal war. This is the greatest example we have. The second thing that was mentioned about the comic is that they will try to increase the danger situations for Ben within the comic. And I don't know if he said this because we just recently came from the reboot. A Ben 10 saga that was somewhat divided. Let's remember that this one was trying to reach a pretty new audience, a young audience. So the actions we saw from this Ben in the show were in line with that. Still, I don't think the reboot is that bad. This summary aims to change your opinion by highlighting instances where Ben faced danger in specific episodes, which are generally reflected in the season finale, but they're still good. The Ben 10 reboot is criticized for lacking dangerous situations and having a poor plot. I think Duncan Rouleau's statements go more or less in this direction, although if I think about it carefully, the loss of aliens or the death of characters or even something as simple as blood itself would give it a really good tone which would fit the character perfectly. Let's remember that the Ben 10 saga has grown with us over time. This is related to the fourth question that was asked, where I read verbatim, "Given the positive reception from fans to your previous concept, could you expand your vision for an animated Ben 10 series for adults?" The creator responded that this has always been an idea that's been on the table. Now, as the fan base gets older and still keeps watching animation, it becomes a real possibility. Turning Ben 10 into a series for adults is a very risky idea from a realistic perspective. We already have an example of what happened with Samurai Jack. But when it was being produced, it wasn't supported by the very fans who wanted this. Imagine if Ben 10 became an adult show with everything you want, but it would be distributed by a streaming platform. They would charge you a monthly fee to watch this and other kinds of content. From the percentage of adults who grew up and want to watch this, optimistically, would 70% pay for a subscription, and for how long? As episodes progress, some viewers may leave, others stay, and perhaps new ones will join. This is where the bosses come in to see the results. The best option for the new Ben 10 would be something like what we're seeing in the comic Ben 10 Legacy. Something we've already had, but it's been improved, and at the same time it has some comedy and some intrigue that leaves you wanting more. Trying to get more information out of him, he was asked an interesting question. Ben 10 Omniverse was supposed to have a 9th and 10th season, but it was cancelled quite a few years ago. Now, many shows are being revived today, like Regular Show and Phineas and Ferb. Would you like the idea if Ben 10 Omniverse came back for a 9th and 10th season? If it were aired by Adult Swim and aimed at more mature audiences? Just like what happened with Samurai Jack in Season 5, the creator responded, We would definitely love to explore stories of Ben at different ages. Some that are more mature, others that are just starting out, and others from different genres. As for revisiting a specific show interaction, it's most likely not in our plans. Even though we had already touched on the topic recently, this was a trick question. We needed to know if Ben 10 Omniverse was continuing. Now, from what he has told us, it seems that we definitely won't have Ben 10 Omniverse 2. I was really intrigued by this question. If you could create a special or series about Ben 10,000, what would it be like? The creator replied that it would be epic. Duncan Rouleau is typically very expressive, explaining everything to you as much as he can. The fact that his answer was so short makes me suspect that the projects are heading in that direction. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that's the case. They investigated if it might be a reboot. Question 3 mentioned it. Oh, with all the Ben 10 reboots over the years? How do you feel about the evolution of the franchise? Is there anything you wish had been done differently? The creator replied that all iterations have positive aspects and areas for improvement, but they don't dwell on the past. They are focused on where to go next. Moving away from the comic and talking a bit about the projects that are planned or were being considered. He was asked about his interest in doing a crossover of Ben 10 with another animated superhero series. Duncan said their goal was to create a Marvel Cinematic Universe style universe for Cartoon Network. Generator Rex was one of those characters. Unfortunately, it was an idea that was too big for the network. Ben has appeared in other shows. But the problem with that kind of crossover is that the audience's expectations for their favorite characters aren't always met. Compromises are often made so that one character doesn't overshadow the other, and the power levels, the problem-solving abilities, and other character attributes are toned down so that both characters receive the same treatment. Saying that this project was too much for the network is something important. Since, in fact, Man of Action, the people in charge of making these kinds of projects had planned a multiverse with Generator Rex, The Secret Saturdays, and Symbionic Titan. Out of these, we already saw it with Rex, who I think is the best of all. The Secret Saturdays is a fantastic show. I would love to see Mrs. Saturday every weekday. Who knows? And with all of our support, maybe someday we can see a multiverse like this. Speaking about live actions and movies, we still have to wait for that since they don't have all the licenses yet. For now, it's something we can't consider. Something that was always talked about was a spin-off. You know, the story about a side character like Kevin Once, Albedo, Gwen, and even Charmcaster, who turns out to be Duncan Rouleau's favorite character. He would now reply, "We have explored and developed some of these concepts without elaborating further." Several also had a lot to offer in the great Ben 10 universe, and maybe those still have a chance. There were still some questions left, and if you want to see them in full, you can do so on the X platform. I just hope that this video is supported by the whole community and that the leadership can see all the potential that Ben Diaz still has. That's all for now. Remember, we're doing a YouTube live stream on Wednesday, so I still have a couple of days to get ready. With nothing more to say, I'll say goodbye. Remember, I'm Frio, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.